Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to today's Business Spotlight. I'm your host, Todd Rodden. I'm a certified executive and business coach. I own Aspire Action Coach based here in Southwest Ohio. We're thrilled to have you join us on the podcast. If you're new, we encourage you to hit the subscribe button so you can receive future messages like you're going to receive today. I think I love this deep invested entrepreneur, really on the leading edge with building out software, AI driven technology. Gerald Schlechter, who's the founder of Enosix. Based here in the region, but really a global company, is going to share his story building this business with us. So, without further ado, Gerald, welcome to the Business Spotlight. We're thrilled to have you. If you mind, take a minute, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit more about Enosix.
Yeah, thank you so much, Todd, for having me today. Appreciate you. Very glad that you contributing to the community, and I'm honored to be on your podcast here. So my background is I grew up in Austria, in Tyrol, Austria, exactly back here in the mountains on a dairy farm.
Beautiful.
And never was really into farming so much, but somehow I can found then my way into IT and did implementations for, so anybody knows SAP, that's one of the largest enterprise software companies in the world. And that journey brought me to the US, and it brought me to Cincinnati. And that's where I started then my first business in consulting, moved then to my second one that was in B2B e-commerce, and had a company around that in the US, did that for 10 years, maybe implemented over 40 stores for Fortune 5,000 companies. And then that journey led me to Enosix, to focus really on simplifying and accelerating the speed of processing business transactions. And we'll talk a little about what that means. As I always say, we are in the speed business, in the speed of providing answers, easy business transaction execution, so that the customers and internal users, salespeople have it easier and are capable to do faster transactions and create then big impacts. Like for the business, that means better margins, more revenue typically, more productivity in employees. We can talk about companies like AAF, where we increased 20% productivity on their 300 sales reps, which means 60 free sales reps for the organization. That means I don't need to recruit 60 people. I don't need to hire 60 people, not onboard 60 people, and so on. So that's a huge value, right? That actually doubled their revenue then over time. So that's kind of like impacts we really focus on. So sometimes I'm coming from the consultative side, and landed then in the software area. And sometimes I really like us to focus on the impacts for the businesses and not so much on the technology. Our technology is innovative and proprietary and amazing. But at the end, we see it so often today, everybody has some technology that then does not drive the results for the businesses and the impacts. And I think that's what's really hurting a lot of companies, especially in the manufacturing industry vertical today, where they invested millions, if not hundreds of millions, in digital transformation. And then after years, they're looking and it's like, well, did it increase revenue? Did it increase our margins? No. So where did that money go? And they're all rethinking with that era of AI and new innovation, what to do. And that's exactly that space that we are filling right now. So we're in a very fortunate position today. Took us 10 years to get there. So there was a long
Overnight
journey. So we'll talk about that. Nobody knows the 10 hard years. Everybody reminds like the last year, it's like a baby. Like you look at it and you forget what the baby did the day before because it's so cute, right? It's like we always hear those stories.
So you shared a little bit, a couple examples, one in particular, client examples, but maybe expand a little more. Like who are your ideal clients? So somebody's listening to this and say, hey, you know what, we should reach out. I mean, these are some of the things that you can deliver for them.
So typically our clients are large enterprises, multi-billion-dollar companies. Like a customer of ours is Whirlpool, HDS of Home Depot, Carl Zeiss, B. Brown. So they are in all different industry verticals from healthcare to manufacturing, but they are typically companies that manufacture world-class products that run the world. And what those companies have in common, they run on a software platform, SAP, all their back office transactional business. So order processing, inventory warehouse, finance, production, asset management is typically run on SAP. And those companies have a best of breed approach on their custom engagement systems. So they use a Salesforce CRM or a ServiceNow or a Microsoft Office 365, Copilot now with AI on the Microsoft platform to provide their internal users and their customers in commerce and B2B productivity tools so that it's easy to do business with them, right? And there's typically there's a huge gap between what those front-end engagement systems do and what that back office system does. The front-end systems are very innovative and very fluid and fast to react and agile and new innovation because customers demand a lot, right? And they don't want to wait a day for an answer. They want it now, and it needs to be accurate, and it needs to fit and be personalized. And those enterprise resource planning systems are more old school and rigid for a reason, because they process billions of transactions and it just needs to work, right? It's German engine. And it works. So they don't really fit well together from their designs. And we link them together so that they natively speak to each other very easily without any custom manual coding. But we created innovative technology to hook them up together so that those front-end systems can seamlessly speak with the backend, get all the data for answers. For example, we have a customer, one of their key answers in call center is, where is my order and I need an invoice reprint. And they have that same question 250,000 times a year. So instead of a person manually doing that, our Arnold AI can answer that automatically in the email and go back in real time to the SAP backend, bring forward the answers, and then compile the email and send the answer out. So it's an assistant version for a call center person or for the AE, right? Before they go to a customer to prepare and saying, okay, what's the business? What returns do they have? What problems are with this customer? So we bring that summarization back so that the salesperson or the sales advisor, when they go on site, they meet with the client, know more than the client does. That's always the key, right? If the first 5 things from the customers on your visit, oh, you haven't done this, and what is with this, and what, then your sales motion is done, right? You're just problem shooting. So we avoid that. And then obviously we make sure that then all new orders and business transactions, returns, and all that stuff is processed seamlessly from those custom engagement systems to the backend as well, so that they can be immediately shipped, that they have accurate pricing to be shipped, that the financial flow and margins are accurate, so it all ties together.
Great examples, extremely powerful when you can have the front end of the business fully informed with those client engagements. So curious, yeah, like I said, not an overnight wonder here. You're roughly 10 years in. Actually, you got some prior entrepreneur experience
built into the company. As you can imagine, it's like some of our customers we process. So for our customer base, we process over $1 trillion in revenue. So like it must be solid and tested and built at scale, because we can't even afford 1% of error rate, right? That would be a disaster for our customers. So it just needs to work and work always. And most of our customers are global organizations like Carl Zeiss. We serve 27 of their countries worldwide. And they have our platform implemented in 27 of their countries and organizations. So we need to be able to support the Canadian business. We need to be able to support Brazil with Nota Fiscal. We need to be able to support China. We need to be able to support all the European companies, the US companies, and South America, right? So there's a lot of customization or configuration that needs to be enabled that this works at scale. So you don't build that overnight, but we are in a really good position with world-class customers. We have over 200 projects under the belt, so we know what we are doing. And I love that our customers are not shy about talking about us and love actually talk about our experience, about their experience with us. So
Yeah. If you saved me 60 salespeople, I'd love to talk about you too. So, so,
yeah.
so talk 10 years, obviously lots of development, innovation, but also that's growth in terms of, sales, relationships.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, whether it's marketing or other strategies that have really, bore the most fruit for you in really building that client base over the years, really cachet names.
So obviously, product is first, right? The product needs to be solid and needs to work and be on a solid foundation. And with the business we deal, they expect that we know how the product looks in 5 years, and there needs to be a roadmap. They can't just replace software every year, right? So product needs to work. That's a given, and needs to have a key differentiator to what's out in the market. We can talk about that later if you guys are interested. But so product is a given, innovation is a given. And then on top of that, new software in enterprises is not fast. Like consumer software and apps can be growing pretty quickly, right? But typically, when you touch revenue for an organization, for a $5 billion organization, they'll test it out 5 times, especially when you're a small startup. Now we are not that small anymore, but I still consider us as a startup. But like 5 years ago, when we had like 20 customers and you walk into a 10 billion organization, they will ask you a couple of questions. How long are you around? How are you funded? What's your technology team? Who builds this stuff that nobody else in the world can build? And our in-house team doesn't know how to build. How is that even possible? So that was really important for us that we trusted to be real with those customers always, and quality. And we went quality over speed first. So we tested all this out on the Salesforce ecosystem before we then started in the last 2 years. We added another investor. So our company is venture backed. So there's pretty significant money invested over the last years. But with the last funding of MK Capital out of Chicago, we are proud of that as well, that we have local investors, Cincinnati, Alice, Mutual Capital, Midwest, then Jobs Ohio is heavily invested as well, and then MK Capital, the last one out of Chicago. And that gave us then the opportunity, what we tested out on the Salesforce platform, to connect Salesforce to SAP, to really expand now to ServiceNow, to Shopify. We have a partnership with ServiceNow. We have a partnership with Shopify, to Microsoft now with the AI technology and our MCP approach with our newest platform that is released in February officially, called Arnold, that enables as well AI MCP with Microsoft Copilot and all the other main platforms. So that brings now a breadth of technology to an enterprise beyond just one single front end.
What have you learned to be your keys in selling into these large enterprises and getting in and getting traction, right?
Yeah,
It's hard to navigate typically.
The marketing is pretty hard and the challenge, right? Like to get to a CFO or a CRO and pick up the phone, your messaging must be pretty point on. And we were, as most technically organizations, we started off the first part of our life very functional and technical, right? And at that phase, you just have to have luck as well to find those innovators in companies, right? So I remember Stephen Driggs was the head of CRM at Stanley Black & Decker, and he was just an innovator, or Tim Hayes, or Paul Zahn, or others. They were just innovators, and they got what we're trying to do, and they loved the technology, and they were champions for us to get to those clients, right? Now, when we're scaling now, 2 years ago, we started really changing our messaging according to our philosophy, impact first over just technology, right? And so we're started to change our messaging around impact pillars. That's margin optimization, human capital, risk aversion, and then profit margin. I said already, and revenue growth. Sorry, those four, right? And we have hundreds of
those get the CFO's attention. Those are the
So now we're talking to CFOs, right? And lucky economy actually plays well into what we are selling, because all we do is helping to automate and helping making business transactions faster and accurate, right? And when I'm saying we are in the business of speed, that means, okay, if I can speed up your quoting time, like for Sunny's, it's the largest car wash company in the world, and doesn't sound that exciting and complex, but if you drive into a car wash and think all the parts that are in there, there's 30,000 of them to build a car wash, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the quoting process for a new car wash was 8 hours before they worked this with us. Now it's 10 minutes. So you go from 8 hours to the sales consultant drives to the person that wants to build a car wash, goes to the building, measures everything, right? And then says, hey, I go now home and tomorrow I send you that. In that time, they already get 3 quotes. Today, they're saying, hey, here, go drink a coffee. I'm done with it when you're done. And they're like, what do you mean? Yeah, I'll tell you the quote when you're done with your coffee. And everybody knows that 80% of the time, the first quote wins, right? So that's a game changer for those organizations. And that's why I'm saying we are in the speed business. And then can you convert the quote really quickly into an order? And is it accurate? And all the pricing match so that you can produce it and send it out and get spare parts quick and all that. That's all speed, right? Anything in this world is about speed. If you can't deliver the same day, you're out. You're second choice, right? And you can only do that with innovative tools that allow you to have accurate information. The information answers immediately for your customers, or customers for self-service themselves now with all the AI in it.
So as you reflect back on your journey, what's a past challenge, if you haven't already shared it, that you and the team had to overcome, and what did you learn from that?
Past challenges, plenty. I would say
we have limited time today, Gerald.
Yeah, I would say the biggest challenge is, especially in software, that I learned. As I said, I came from consulting. In software, what I learned is not to be too stuck on the technology you built. You probably will have to tear down a lot of things and rebuild it so that at the end it matches the market and what your customers want. It's highly unlikely you end up with what you built the first 2 years. And that, as a founder and development team, is always hard to say, oh my God, now we need to throw away 60% because here's where the market goes and here's where new innovation is. And if we do this, this is way better. So we had 2 or 3 times those moments where 2 years ago, we had to say, hey, we need to re-platform our whole thing so that we are capable to do what we do today and launch an AI native platform for our customers. And that's a hard pill to swallow, that all your work that you poured in, all your concepts, all your smartness, all your stuff was not good enough. And you just go and be like, okay, let's start from scratch. I think the similar is with messaging, right? Like you're so fixed on your messaging until you realize that, wait a second, the customer doesn't even understand what we're saying. Like now you need to change that, right? Then you need then the team might not match anymore. You hired a different team to sell different, right? Now you have to go through the pain of team changes, which is human interaction, which is people you worked for a long time. And like at startup, you have those growth spurts. And sometimes it's really hard for people to grow with that next growth spurt, right? And those things those are, for me, the team changes are always the most challenging, but those kind of like are still deeply remembered. And I'm sure we will have another one with the next phase of innovation coming, right? It's like that's just a natural thing that we in our space as a software company live in.
So, hey, we just kind of flipped into a new year here. What's a challenge you have in front of you that you and the team are trying to solve for, this year?
To get to as many conversations with leaders of organization. Like, how do you get to talk to a CFO and have a real conversation? And I'm not a big fan of, sorry to my CMO, not personal marketing-ish messaging that's broad and like we are not in the brand building yet. I focus on real impact, real conversations, real outcomes. How can I have a conversation with the Fortune 5,000 CFOs and every single one of them, because I know I can save them money, I can generate them cash, and I can generate them productivity and finally a return on digital transformation that return they didn't have in the past.
Right.
That's the challenge. How do I get to them?
Yeah. Yeah. And how to
Especially in that
overcome that.
noisy world, right? Everything is noise. Nobody knows anymore what information is real or not real, what's generated, what's AI. And it's like, what are the real stories we are telling where we still have that human factor and emotion and energy coming over where oh, that person has something to say that I want to listen to because you can feel it vibrating, right?
So what's your vision longer term? You've been 10 years, tremendous growth, innovation and progress. What do you look, if you look down the road, maybe another 10 years or so, what's your dream for the business?
The dream for the business right now is pretty simple. We are launching Arnold, our new AI native platform in February. We want to expand on that, make sure that it's enterprise grade quality AI and not just not to say that bad, but just some text summarization and leave it at that, right? But really create value for those organizations and then improve on that. We started building out Germany last year. Hopefully we can expand our journey in Europe with more people and ramp that up in the European market. And then with us changing to a platform, there is going to be a lot of new opportunity for us to getting into sectors and spaces that we didn't have on the radar yet. So there's a lot of new things that are going to come for enterprise value. But for me, it's all continue to build value. Be persistent on improvement, but improving for the customer, right? And the rest will all happen by itself.
Yeah.
Like if you daily say, okay, what are the 3 things this week we can improve for our customers? You're going to be fine.
Continually. So before we hit record, we were talking about your team, and you got a large team. You got 60 full-time employees plus a large group of offshore support as well. I'm curious, what have been your keys to building that team? Developing the talent, attracting and retaining the talent.
First of all, luckily, I don't need to build that whole team myself. So I have an amazing CEO and C-level leadership. So that's my core team around me. We have a great extended leadership team that gets more and more involved. That's like 12 people in the organization with their teams. And for me, the key is always the same. It's be kind, be real, be transparent. It's pretty simple. Like, be transparent with your teams, speak openly. I'm not a person that grew up in a lot of sugarcoating. I said I grew up on a dairy farm in Austria. It's like what you see is what you get. I'm not going to put the mask or facade on to get to something. Be honest and kind with the people around you, because you're not going to build anything by yourself. Right? And it sounds cheesy, and everybody would say that. That's probably our biggest mantra, to have open collaboration, have the CEO, have the founder in group discussions. Everybody can openly say, hey, we don't think that this is right what you're saying, Gerald. And no, and that's just daily. That happens that's a daily process, right? That open and discussion and collaboration with the teams. At the end, it's the team's company. It's not the founder's company. At the end, it's their organization and their lives, and where they spend a lot of their time and give a lot of the time away from their families. So you got to honor that and let them make it their own, right?
So kind of building upon kind of those lessons learned, if there's any other keys to success you'd want to share to some of our other viewers, maybe some of our entrepreneurs who are newer in their journey, kind of, hey, what do you wish you knew then that you know now?
Yeah, we talked about I believe in, like, outside of technology, I'm pretty spiritual attached, not that religious, but I believe in energy and positive energy, vibrations, law of assumptions or intentions, all that stuff, right? That's core in my beliefs. So for me, it's always like, especially for founders and leaders in organizations, figure out who you are yourself before you can lead for others. Right? That's a big lesson I had to learn, which I didn't have for a long time of my career, and I followed the typical dream, the American dream of I can move to America and capitalism, and can make it from nothing to a lot, right? But what does that mean for yourself? And then in 2019, I had a pretty big burnout and was wiped out for 3 months, and had to reset my life and kind of like figure out what's really important, right? And since then, things started to get in order. It was really funny when I compare those two cycles. When I talk with people that worked with me and talk now with people, it's just more connected to what I feel and what I think and who I'm expressing myself now than what it was before, right? Before it was way more mechanical, more goal driven, probably, which venture capitalists would probably like. But I hire people for that have that talent, right? But the environment you build around yourself is then a reflection on the company, right? And I think I would say, spend some time there. Most founders, or at least myself, probably spend a lot in, the product, the marketing, and this, and not so much on what you project to others and what forms around you. The environment, I think, is the most important thing for me. Because you can build whatever you want, right? So as long as you have a structure and you know what you want and you envision that clearly with purpose, and it's positive and it has a meaning and it's not destructive, at some point you'll get there. It's just a matter of time, alignment of time and energy alignment. If you go that route for 10, 15 years, you'll end up there. If you don't know that piece, then it's hard to end up there.
Curious, Philip, is there a daily practice or regular practice you do to kind of keep that kind of alignment or to keep that awareness and focus?
Yeah, there's a lot of daily practices next to meditation and stuff like that. But there's a lot of self-reflection on after meetings, after team meetings. There's a lot of self-reflections of being okay to then slack after a meeting and be like, hey, sorry, team, like I went totally off here. I shouldn't have done that. That's totally fine to say that. Like everybody should have that opportunity. Do not carry that around, but as well openly say that to their peers, right? Have that vulnerability. I think we live in a world where it's like, oh, you can't show any flaws, and you need to be harsh, and you can't be too kind, otherwise you don't have the results. And
Mhm.
it needs to be super goal oriented. Yeah, that all that is fine, but if the process and the humanity of that piece doesn't work, then you never get to goals because your journey will be by yourself, right? Or at some point it fall apart.
So, so Gerald, our time does fly in these conversations. So as we get close to wrapping up here, what are the best ways for folks to learn more and or to connect and follow you in the business?
Yeah, there's Enosix.com, the website of the company. Watch out, there's a new homepage coming in the next 30 days with our new launch. And there's customer stories on there. I wish more companies could read those or talk with our companies. And then LinkedIn is the easiest way to probably connect with me. And then I'm as well going to start in the next months a group. And I'm looking for conscious leaders around AI. So watch out for that if you're interested, because I think it's a real important topic that we approach AI from not just the productivity gain, but as well an educational piece to the masses, what potential it brings, and not just what threats it can bring. And really have an open discussion like what will change if we like it or not, right? And where robotic and AI will just happen in the next years and take more and more of mundane activities away. On the other hand, what should we prepare already for ourselves and then our children, like my children are 13 and 11, what should their education look like? Like, and I'm trying to form a group of CIOs and intellectual smart people, smarter people than I am, to get education pieces out to that so that everybody has a chance to prepare properly.
So as we wrap up, thank you for sharing that. And by the way, all that contact information will be in the show notes for
Awesome.
folks so that folks can check that out there and connect and learn more. So, Gerald, lots of inspiration in your message here today. I'm curious, what are you inspired by today?
So one personal inspiration is right now seeing my children take advantage of this world. That's fastly changing. Like, how can you still stay in the fun part of where we are, right? A lot of people tap into that. Oh, this is threatening economy. And I look at my 13-year-old, 11-year-old, they sing a lot, they sing songs. Like, how can you keep that fun piece while doing it? And then on the company side, I would say, despite we are in an industry that talks a lot about tech and is so in tech and AI right now, which is very calculated, I would say,
Mhm.
on outcomes, I still find every day kind and human interactions with people and people that surprise me. And that is inspiring.
Well, Gerald Schlechter, thank you so much for sharing your story, your thoughts, wisdom here, your inspirations with our community here on the Business Spotlight today.
Thank you so much, Todd, for doing this, and really appreciate you doing your part to the community to get those messages out.
All right. And to our viewers, we're thrilled to have you join us again. Check out the show notes for that contact, follow-up information with Gerald and Enosix as well. We're thrilled to have you join us. Again, we encourage you to hit the like button. That helps us share the message more broadly. You got to feed the algorithms. But also, as I mentioned before, go ahead and hit subscribe so you can receive future messages like you heard from Gerald today. And with that, I hope you all have a terrific day. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.